I died choking on my own vomit in a holding cell that smelled like piss and regret. The last face I saw was my son's, twisted in disgust as he spat. "You deserve this, Mom." The irony? He was right, I did deserve something, but not the noose of lies they'd woven around my neck. And then, like a glitch in the universe's shitty code, I woke up gasping in my old bed. The alarm clock blinking 7 a.m. on that godforsaken Tuesday in June 2018, 3 years before the trial that buried me alive. My heart hammered like a jackrabbit on meth. Sheets tangled around me like restraints from that final nightmare. I bolted upright, staring at the vanity mirror across the room. Same laugh lines. Same chestnut hair streaked with premature gray. Same hazel eyes wide with the horror of recognition. Clara Hargrove. 42. Alive again. Not in some ethereal bullshit afterlife, but right here in our overpriced brownstone in Brooklyn. The one I'd clawed my way into after scraping together every penny from my graphic design gigs while my husband, Mark, networked his way through Wall Street happy hours. This was the morning after our 20th anniversary party, the one where the first cracks in our perfect family facade started spiderwebbing out. I toasted to us with cheap champagne, oblivious to the poison already seeping in. But I wasn't oblivious now. I knew every lie, every whispered deal in smoke-filled bars, every forged signature on documents that would frame me for embezzling from the family business, the one I'd built from a laptop in our kitchen while Mark took credit at board meetings. And Ethan, our golden boy, 21 and fresh out of NYU with a trust fund smirk, he'd be the one to testify against me, his own mother, for a bigger slice of the pie. "Family first," he'd say in court, voice cracking just enough to sell the betrayal. God. The rage boiled up like acid reflux from hell. This time, I wouldn't sip the Kool-Aid. This time, I'd spike it. I threw on my running gear, neon Nikes I'd bought on sale at Target, the ones that always gave me blisters, and hit the streets before the sun fully crested the East River. Brooklyn buzzed with its usual chaos, hipsters clutching oat milk lattes, delivery bikes weaving like kamikazes, the distant wail of an NYPD siren chasing some ghost. But my feet pounded pavement with purpose, each step a vow etched in sweat. I needed a plan, something airtight, because second chances don't come with mulligans. By the time I looped back home, lungs burning and mind razor-sharp, the blueprint was forming: infiltrate, document, dismantle. They'd think I was the same doormat Clara, the mom who baked muffins for PDA meetings and forgave Mark's late nights with a smile. Wrong. This Clara was a ghost with a grudge. And ghosts don't play nice. Mark was in the kitchen, tie half-knotted, scrolling CNBC on his phone while Ethan shoveled Frosted Flakes like it was his last meal. "Morning, hon," Mark said without looking up, that salesman grin already in place. He was 45, still boyishly handsome if you ignored the paunch from too many steakhouse tabs on the company card. "You look like you saw a ghost." Bad dream? If only he knew. I forced a laugh, light and airy, the kind that said everything's fine in Hargrove land. Just the usual. Deadlines chasing me. I poured coffee black. No sugar. The way I'd learned to like it in my past life's prison coffee clutch, and slid into the booth across from Ethan. He barely glanced up, earbuds in, probably binging some crypto bro podcast. Our son, tall, lanky, with Mark's blue eyes and my stubborn jaw, the kid I'd cheered through Little League and college apps, only for him to drive the knife into my back for a shot at VP by 30. So, big day, I said casually, stirring my mug. That investor meeting for the expansion. You guys ready to wow? Hargrove Designs was my baby, a boutique firm specializing in eco-friendly branding for startups. I'd bootstrapped it in 2005, back when Mark was still hawking mutual funds door to door. Now, it pulled 7 figures. And they were plotting to oust me, paint me as the unstable founder who'd lost her edge. Ethan snorted, pulling out one earbud. Yeah. If Dad doesn't screw up the pitch again. Mark shot him a look. But there was no heat in it, just the easy camaraderie of co-conspirators. I sipped my coffee, memorizing the micro-expressions, Mark's jaw tick when he felt cornered, Ethan's eye roll masking guilt. I'd seen it all before. In depositions and therapy sessions I never got to finish. The meeting was at a glass-walled loft in Soho. The kind of place that screamed, "We're disrupting the status quo," with exposed brick and Edison bulbs. I arrived early, blue briefcase in hand, the one relic from my creative phase that I'd stashed full of sketches and prototypes. Today, it'd hold something sharper, a hidden recorder app on my phone, synced to a cloud drive only I knew about. As the investors trickled in, suits from venture firms with names like Apex Capital, I played the eager visionary, pitching sustainable logos that told stories without shouting. They ate it up, nodding along as Mark chimed in with his MBA buzzwords. But under the table, my foot tapped Morse code. Lies. 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 During the Q&A, one sharp-eyed woman from Green Horizon asked about succession planning. Mark jumped in before I could. Clara's the heart. But we're building a team to scale. Ethan's already proving invaluable on ops. I smiled, all teeth, and added, family's everything. Keeps us grounded. The room chuckled. They had no idea how prophetic that was. Lunch was at a rooftop bistro overlooking the Hudson, where the real scheming began. I excused myself to the powder room and ducked into a stairwell instead, pulling up the voice memos. Crystal clear. Mark to Ethan. Hushed but urgent. We move on the shares next quarter. Make sure the books look sloppy on her end. She'll fold. My blood turned to ice water. Proof. The first brick in my wall of vengeance. Back home that evening, I cooked lasagna. From scratch. The way Ethan liked it with extra ricotta. Domestic bliss. Right? Mark cracked open Estella, regaling us with war stories from the meeting, while Ethan scrolled Instagram, liking thirst traps from sorority girls. I watched them, fork midway to my mouth, and felt the chasm widen. How'd I missed it? The late-night calls Mark dismissed as clients, the way Ethan started dressing like his dad, Brooks Brothers button-downs over band tees. It wasn't just greed, it was erasure. They were rewriting me out of my own story. That night, as Mark snored beside me, I slipped into the home office. The computer hummed to life. Password unchanged, our wedding date. Because irony's a bitch. I mirrored the hard drive to an external, then dug into the shadows, deleted emails restored with a quick forensic tool I'd learned from a true crime podcast in my downtime. There it was, the smoking gun. Correspondence with a shady accountant, timestamps aligning with donations to a Cayman account. Not my signatures, Mark's. Sloppy digital forgeries. And Ethan's emails. Casual as frat talk. Dad. She's clueless. We got this. Tears stung, but I blinked them back. No time for weakness. This was war, and the first volley was reconnaissance. I'd need allies, old contacts from my freelance days, a PI who owed me a favor from a logo redesign. By dawn, I'd texted Lena, my college roommate turned divorce attorney. Hypothetical, framing your spouse for fraud. Statute of limitations. Her reply pinged at 6:15. Girl,
Call me.
this sounds personal. The next week's blurred into a double life. By day, I was supermom, volunteering at Ethan's alumni fundraiser, charming Mark's golf buddies at the club. By night, I was the architect of their downfall. I planted trackers on their phones, apps disguised as productivity tools, and tailed Mark to his meetings in Midtown, where he met with that accountant in a dive bar off Times Square. Ethan, bless his entitled soul, was easier. Frat parties at the Standard, where he bragged about taking over the empire, to wide-eyed pledges. One decision gnawed at me. The first gray area gut punch. Do I confront Ethan alone? Pull him aside after soccer practice with his old cleats still in the garage? Remind him of the forts we built in Central Park?
No.
Mercy was what got me killed last time. Instead, I leaked an anonymous tip to the NYU alumni newsletter. Nothing damning. Just whispers of irregularities in Hargrove's internships. Watch the ripples, Clara. Let them erode the foundation. July heat wave hit like a freight train, turning the city into a steam bath. We escaped to the Hamptons for a family weekend, Mark's idea to reconnect. The rental was a gray-shingled monstrosity on Dune Road, all wicker and white linens, with waves crashing like accusations. I packed light, swimsuits for show, my blue briefcase for the kill. Evenings around the fire pit, s'mores melting in the humidity. Mark spun tales of his youth, hustling odd jobs in Queens. The American dream bullshit. Ethan hung on every word, firelight gilding his face like a halo he didn't deserve. On the third night, after too many sips of rose, I steered the conversation to legacies. What do you want to leave behind? He shrugged, poking the embers. Something big. Not like small stuff. Mark clapped him on the back. That's my boy. Hargrove men build empires. I laughed, the sound brittle as sea glass. And Hargrove women? We just hold the blueprints. The silence stretched. Then Mark pivoted to golf scores. But I saw it, the flicker in Ethan's eyes. A shadow of doubt. Good. Let it fester. Back in Brooklyn, the noose tightened on them. Not me. My PI, ex-cop named Ruiz, delivered dossiers. Mark's mistress, a junior exec at a rival firm. Their affair funding side projects. Ethan's gambling debts, online poker binges racking up 5 figures, covered by loans from the company's safe. The web was vast, sticky. I debated going nuclear, forwarded all to the board. But no, too clean. Revenge needed teeth, the kind that left scars. The controversial call came mid-August, during a solo run along the promenade. Sweat blurred my vision, but clarity hit like lightning, seduced the truth out of Mark. Not physically, God. The thought curdled my stomach, but emotionally. Play the vulnerable wife. Draw out confessions on tape. It felt slimy, a betrayal of the woman I'd been. But survival's a whore. That night, I dimmed the lights, lit candles, poured scotch. Mark, I've been feeling distant. Like we're drifting. He softened, ego stroked, and spilled frustrations with the business, hints at restructuring to protect our future. Click, recorder rolling in my pocket. Ethan's ready, he murmured. Hand on my thigh. He gets it. You. You're brilliant, Clara. But this world's cutthroat. I nodded, tears real enough for the girl who'd believed in us. Then let's make it work. For him, the lie tasted like bile. But it bought me time. As fall leaves turned Prospect Park gold, the pressure mounted. Investors pulled back after my whispers hit the streets. Ethan came home rattled, snapping at dinner about sabotage. Mark paced, blaming market jitters. I soothed them with hugs and homemade chili, all while wiring funds to a new LLC in my maiden name, Hargrove Designs 2.0. Untouchable. The breaking point loomed, the annual gala for the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. Black tie schmooze fest at the With Hotel. I'd RSVP'd us as a unit. But this time, the blue briefcase came along, zipped tight with printouts, USBs, affidavits from Ruiz. As we dressed, me in a crimson sheath that hugged like armor, Mark in his rented tux, Ethan eyed me warily. You okay? Mom, you've been weird. Weird's my new normal. Kiddo. I winked. But inside, the storm raged. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and champagne flutes, air thick with perfume and ambition. Mark worked the room like a pro, Ethan trailing like a shadow pup. I nursed a gin and tonic, chatting up Lena in a corner booth. It's time, she murmured. File the countersuit Monday. They'll crumble. But I shook my head. Not yet. Let them dig their grave deeper. Midway through the keynote, a droning ode to innovation, Mark pulled me aside near the coat check, breath hot with bourbon. Clara, we need to talk. The numbers. They're off. Board wants answers. His eyes darted, sweat beading despite the AC. I feigned concern. What can I do? He leaned in, voice a rasp. Sign the transfer. Make it clean. For Ethan, there it was, the ask, naked and raw. My hand trembled on my clutch, but I smiled. Give me a minute. Freshen up. In the bathroom, marble echoing my pulse, I texted Ruiz. Go. He was outside, ready with a van and a hacker buddy to mirror their devices live. Back in the hall, the speech wrapped to polite applause. Mark cornered me again by the dessert table, Ethan hovering like a vulture. Clara,
Please.
this is bigger than us. Laughter bubbled up, unbidden, hysterical, sharp. Heads turned. Bigger than us?
Oh.
Honey. I set down my glass, fingers steady now, and unclasped the blue briefcase on the linen-draped table. It yawned open like a mouth, spilling light over the contents, stacks of emails, bank statements, audio transcripts labeled Husband's Confessions, Exhibit A. The room hushed as I pulled the mic from the podium, voice amplified and unflinching. Ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, tonight, instead of toasting success, let's unearth the rot. Gasps rippled. Mark's face drained to chalk. Clara, what the? Shut up. Mark. I hit play on the portable speaker tucked inside, his voice, tinny but damning, plotting my fall. She's out of her depth. We'll make it look like incompetence, embezzlement, whatever sticks. Ethan lunged. Mom.
Stop.
This is insane. Insane? Like testifying against your mother for a corner office? I flung photos, him at the poker tables, IOUs in his scrawl. The crowd murmured, phones whipping out to capture the carnage. Security edged closer, but Lena materialized, badge flashing. No one moves. This is a crime scene. Mark stammered. It's a misunderstanding. Save it for the feds. I turned to the investors, eyes locking. Hargrove Designs was mine. They tried to steal it. Piece by piece. Chaos erupted, flashes popping, whispers exploding into shouts. Ethan sobbed, collapsing into a chair. I didn't mean. Dad said it was temporary, while Mark bolted for the exit, only to be tackled by plainclothes cops Ruiz had tipped off. In the melee, I stood amid the wreckage. Briefcase empty now. Soul oddly light. The betrayal's sting faded, replaced by a fierce, unyielding clarity. This wasn't just revenge, it was reclamation. But as sirens wailed outside, Ethan's broken gaze met mine, pleading.
Lost.
The twist hit like a gut punch. He'd been coerced. Mark's debts dragging him under. A pawn in a game too big for a kid chasing approval. Forgiveness? Maybe later.
For now.
Justice tasted like victory. Bitter and sweet. The fallout was biblical. By morning headlines, Brooklyn Biz mogul's empire crumbles in gala expose. Mark in cuffs. Facing wire fraud charges, Ethan spilling to prosecutors for immunity.
His trust shattered. Me?
I walked out with the firm intact. Investors doubling down on the hero founder's comeback. Months later, in a quieter Brooklyn new apartment, no ghosts, I sipped coffee on my fire escape, watching snow dust the bridges. Lena visited. Toasting with Merlot. You did it. Clara. Clean break.
Clean?
Scars lingered. Ethan wrote letters from rehab, apologies scrawled in a child's hand, begging for a bridge unburned. I filed them away, unopened. Some wounds demand time, not tourniquets. And Mark, life in Federal Orange suited him, small man, smaller world. Last I heard, he was flipping burgers in witness protection. Legacy reduced to a cautionary tale. As for me, I rebuilt. Hargrove 2.0 soared. Eco-brands flocking to my vision. Dates with a quiet architect from Queens. Laughter real again. Second lives aren't fairy tales. They're grindstones. Sharpening you raw. But damn if it didn't feel good to swing the blade. The snow melted into a gritty slush by March, turning sidewalks into treacherous mirrors of my fractured reflection. I'd moved to a walk-up in Williamsburg, cozy chaos with exposed ducks and a view of the Domino Sugar sign's faded ghost, far from the brownstone's sterile echoes. No more king-sized beds or granite counters, just a Murphy bed that creaked like confessions and a hot plate that birthed midnight quesadillas. Freedom's first taste. Cheap and charred. But mine. Workdays blurred into a rhythm of redemption. The office, now a sun-drenched loft in Dumbo, reclaimed from a bankrupt ad agency, hummed with fresh blood, interns who didn't reek of entitlement, designers with fire in their sketches. I led morning huddles in jeans and chucks, pitching visions of brands that whispered green revolutions. Story over shout, I'd say, echoing my old mantra. But now it carried weight, no one shadow to eclipse it. Investors circled like renewed faith. Apex Capital, the firm that had nearly bailed pre-gala, fronted a seven-figure round. Their lead, that sharp-eyed woman, Vanessa, grinning over oat lattes. You didn't just expose fraud, Clara. You exposed bullshit. Wherein? Her handshake lingered, a nod to the unspoken sisterhood of women who'd armored up against the boys' club. Nights were harder, the quiet amplifying ghosts. I'd pour Pinot from a $10 bottle. Scroll Ethan's last Instagram, frozen at 21. arm around a keg at some tailgate. Caption: Empire building Hargrove hustle. Deleted now. Account suspended amid the scandal. But screenshots haunted my camera roll. Was it pity or pain that kept me from blocking him? Therapy with Dr. Patel, a no-nonsense shrink from Mumbai via Jersey, probed that wound weakly. Anger is a signal.
Clara.
What does it protect? Everything, I'd mutter. The parts they tried to steal. Mark's trial dominated tabloids through spring, a circus of depositions and damning exhibits. I testified once, voice steady as I unpacked the Briefcase's digital twin on the stand, files projected on screens for the jury of weary commuters. Your Honor, this isn't about money. It's about erasure. The prosecutor, a bulldog named Kowalski, nodded. The defense squirmed. Mark, shackled but suited, avoided my eyes, his lawyer spinning yarns of marital discord and her instability. Laughable. If it weren't my life. Ethan's immunity deals spare him bars, but not the glare of public scorn. He entered a plea, accessory after the fact, sentenced to community service and counseling. Reporters staked out the courthouse, yelling, "How's it feel to rat out Mom?" He ducked into a black SUV. Face gaunt. The boy who'd once built Lego towers with me, now a specter of squandered potential. Post-trial, I fielded calls from producers, podcasts wanting my tell-all, Lifetime sniffing for a biopic. Bad Moms, The Reckoning, one pitched. I laughed them off. My story wasn't for consumption, it was fuel. The controversial pivot came in May, unbidden like a summer squall. Vanessa invited me to a Women in Tech Summit in Austin, South by Southwest offshoot. All TED vibes and craft IPAs. I flew Southwest.
Coach.
Napping against a window smeared with fingerprints. The conference was a whirlwind. Panels on imposter syndrome, ironic. Keynotes on ethical AI. Networking mixers where cards flew like frisbees. There, over tacos al pastor at a food truck, I met Riley. 28. Non-binary. With a buzzcut dyed electric blue and tattoos snaking up olive arms, code wizard from a Seattle startup. Hacking sustainability apps. They slid into the bench beside me, grinning. Saw your talk. That gala takedown? Legendary. Like Ocean's 11, but with spreadsheets. I flushed and used to hero worship. More like messy divorce with extra steps. We talked till the truck closed, algorithms for carbon tracking, the grind of bootstrapping without bro networks. Their laugh was infectious, low and rumbling, cutting through my walls like a hot knife. Back in Brooklyn, texts pinged, Austin vibes still buzzing. Dinner when I'm East Coast. Riley crashed my world like a benevolent virus, weekends hiking the Palisades. Their hand brushing mine over falafel, late nights debugging my website over Zoom. Voice gravelly with focus. It felt dangerous. This spark. Mark had been my only high school sweethearts. Married at 22 in a shotgun chapel off the Jersey Turnpike. Sex was duty. Affection a transaction. With Riley, it was curiosity. Electric and uncharted. The first kiss happened on my fire escape. June humidity thick as desire. Fireworks popped over the river, 4th of July early, and their lips tasted like lime and possibility. We don't have to rush, they whispered, thumb tracing my jaw. But I did rush, pulling them inside, bodies tangling in sheets that smelled of lavender detergent. It was messy, fervent, laughs amid fumbles, scars shared in the afterglow. Betrayal leaves craters, I confessed. Tracing their ink, a phoenix mid-flight. Yeah, they murmured. But craters catch rain. Grow shit. Doubt crept in with the dawn. Was this rebound or rebirth?
Dr.
Patel called it reparenting yourself. Lena, over brunch at Buttermilk Channel, was blunter. Honey, if it feels good and he's not stealing your IP, write it. But the gray loomed, Ethan. How to explain a new they to a son piecing his life back? Or did I owe him explanations at all? Summer peaked in a heat dome. Air conditioners groaning like old men. Hargrove 2.0 landed a whale client, Patagonia knockoff called TerraThread, rebranding their entire line. I flew to Boulder for the kickoff, Riley tagging along as consultant. Their presence grounded me amid the wellness weirdness. Yoga breaks, quinoa bowls, execs in Patagonia vests preaching circular economies. But en route, my phone buzzed unknown number. Voicemail, Ethan's voice. Halting.
Mom.
I know you hate me, but can we talk? Just once. I'm trying.
Static.
Then click. I deleted it, but the echo lingered. Boulder blurred into bliss and buried hatchets. Riley and I hiked flatirons at sunrise, their hands steady in mine as we crested ridges slick with pine sap. What's next for us? They asked one evening, sprawled on a hotel balcony, city lights winking below. I hesitated, the briefcases ghost heavy in memory. Next is whatever we build. No blueprints.
Just
us. Back east. The call came. Ethan, discharged from counseling, wanted coffee. Neutral ground. A Starbucks in Park Slope. The one with the chalkboard menu of pumpkin spice sins. He arrived early, slouched in a booth. Hair longer, eyes shadowed like mine. Thanks for coming. Voice cracked on the edges. I slid into the seat, grande Americano steaming between us. Talk. He spilled, Mark's pressure cooker, debts from bad trades, threats of cutting him off. He said it'd be quick. You'd fight. Win your shares back.
I
believed him. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unashamed. I'm sorry.
Mom.
For everything. The rage flared. Hot and holy. Wanted to hurl my cup. Scream about the courtroom lies. The nights I'd howled into pillows. But beneath, a thread, the boy who'd nursed a broken arm at 12. Me kissing boo-boos till he giggled. Sorry doesn't erase, I said finally. But it's a start. We parted with numbers exchanged. Tentative text following. How's work? Miss your lasagna. Small stitches on a gaping wound. Fall foliage painted the city in arson hues. Conferences yielding to client calls. Riley met the team easy fit. Their quips lightning pitch meetings. But tension simmered. Mark's appeal loomed. Whispers of a retrial. His lawyer subpoenaed me for new evidence, alleged affair with Ruiz. Twisting protection into infidelity. Lena shredded it in motions, but the mud stuck. The real storm hit in October. A nor'easter dumping rain like judgment. I was at the loft, mocking up logos, when Ethan burst in unannounced, drenched, frantic. Dad's out.
Bail.
He's coming for you. Heart seized. Mark. Free on technicality. Gunning for round 2. I grabbed the briefcase, refilled now with injunctions, NDAs, and bolted for Lena's.
En route.
Riley texted. Heard. At your place. Lockdown mode. The confrontation brewed at my door 2 nights later. Mark, gaunt in a trench coat, pounding like thunder. Clara, we need to end this bullshit. I cracked the chain, Riley behind me like a sentinel. And you ended us when you forged my name. His eyes wild, pleading. It was survival. For Ethan. The boy needs his father. Ethan, who'd tailed him, stepped from shadows.
No. Dad.
I need my mom. The twist uncoiled. Ethan's anonymous tip to feds. Months back. Sealing Mark's original fate. Loyalty flipped. A son's quiet rebellion. Mark lunged, not violent, but desperate, grabbing for papers. Riley intercepted. Commas code. Back off. Or it's assault. Cops arrived, sirens blaring. Mark cuffed again. Howling curses. In the aftermath, Ethan hugged me, awkward. Bone deep. I chose right this time. Healing's no straight line. It's switchbacks. Slippery with ifs. By Thanksgiving, we gathered, me, Ethan, Riley, Lena, at a diner off Flatbush. Turkey slices and pie from a box. Laughter tentative, but real. Winter whispered promises. Hargrove thrived. Riley and I plotting a joint venture, app for ethical branding. Scars? They itched, but didn't define. Second chances aren't gifts, they're gauntlets. I ran mine ragged, emerged bloodied but unbowed. And in the quiet, briefcase dusty on a shelf, I finally breathed free. New Year's Eve, 2019 dawned crisp. The kind of cold that cracked lips and sharpened ambitions. Williamsburg thrummed with resolutions unspoken, gym memberships gathering dust by February. But mine stuck, expand, endure, evolve. The loft had grown tentacles, spilling into adjacent spaces with white bards scrawled in dry erase streams. Team huddles now included Riley full-time, their desk a riot of stickers and server racks, coding modules that made our pitches pop like fireworks. Ethan's reintegration was a tightrope, weekly dinners at my place. Him chopping onions while I stirred sauces, Riley mediating with dad jokes. Pass the garlic, kid, unless you're planning vampire defense. He warmed slow, thawing under shared Netflix binges, true crime docs that had us dissecting twists over popcorn. You'd make a killer detective, Mom, he'd say, half joking. I'd ruffle his hair, longer now, streaked with rebellion. Forgiveness wasn't erasure, it was excavation, unburying the boy beneath the betrayer. Mark's retrial squatted on the horizon like a storm front. Appeal denied, but delays dragging like bad karma. Subpoenas pinged my inbox, character witnesses for the prosecution. His camp fishing for dirt. I prepped with Lena, over Zoom. Her Park Avenue office, a backdrop of leather-bound tomes. He's cornered. Clara. Rats bite hardest. She was right. Anonymous emails arrived. Grainy photos of me and Riley at a queer bar in Bushwick. Captions venomous. Slut shamed her family. I forwarded them to cybercrimes. But the sting lingered. Echoes of small-town judgment from my Ohio roots, where family values meant closets and crosses. Work became armor. TerraThreads rebrand launched to fanfare. Billboards in Times Square touting threads that bind, not break, my tagline winking at personal poetry. Forbes ran a profile, the founder who fought back, framing me as the scrappy survivor. Offers flooded, book deals, speaking gigs at Davos-like conferences. I cherry-picked, turning down the sensational for substance. Riley grounded the glow-up. Fame's a filter.
Babe.
Don't let it pixelate you. Spring unfurled in cherry blossoms along the esplanade. Picnics with the trio, Ethan sketching logos on napkins, Riley debating color theory with him like old souls. One afternoon, wind whipping off the harbor, Ethan broached the unbroachable. Dad wrote. From county lockup. Wants to see me. I paused. Fork midway to a prosciutto sandwich. And, he shrugged, eyes on gulls wheeling overhead. Part of me says yes. Closure or whatever. Other part. Nah. Listen to both, Riley chimed, popping a grape. They're GPS for your gut. Wise beyond their years. That one therapy schooled. Unscarred by the same generational BS. I nodded, swallowing the urge to dictate. Control was the old Clara's crutch. Numi trusted the map to unfold. The gala's one-year anniversary snuck up like a hangover, invites to the rematch. Chamber brass eager for redemption arc. I RSVP'd solo. Briefcase polished. Contents refreshed. Not weapons now. But wonders, prototypes for a client app. Riley's brainchild. Though with buzzed anew. Chandeliers twinkling like forgiving stars. Vanessa cornered me by the bar. Martini in hand. Last year, you shattered glass. This year, raise it. We toasted, clinking stems to unbreakable women. But midway through appetizers, truffle arancini. Ironic luxury, my phone vibrated. Ruiz. Marks en route. Bailed again. Watch your six. Pulse spiked. But I played cool. Circulating with purpose. Ethan texted, staying home. Love you. Riley. Outside. Valet spot. Back up ready. He's slunk in late. Tux ill-fitting over jailhouse pallor. Eyes scanning like a hawk. Spotted me across the room. Weaved through clusters. Old allies averting gazes. Clara. Voice low. Laced with whiskey. Mark. I didn't flinch. Flute steady. We talk. Private. Nod to the terrace. Rain pattering on awnings. Lena materialized. Arm linking mine. Not without counsel. He sneered, but relented, huddled by potted palms. City lights blurring below. This ends. Clara. Plea deals on table. Drop the civil suit. I recant everything. Recant? The audacity curdled. You mean admit you framed me? For what pride? His laugh barked.
Hollow.
Survival. You think I wanted this? The firm's drowning without me. Riley appeared then. Hand on my shoulder, solid. Silent support. Mark's gaze flicked, disdain curling his lip. New toy? Classy. Partner. I corrected. Voice steel. And irrelevant. Sign the confession. Or rot. He lunged verbal. Not physical, spitting accusations. You poisoned him against me. Ethan, my son. Yours. I unzipped the briefcase. Pulling a sheaf. Ethan's therapy transcripts. Redacted, but revelatory.
Read.
He's choosing. Mark scanned. Face crumpling defeat. Not fury. What do you want? Truth. I slid a recorder across the table. Pen poised. On tape. Now. He balked. Then broke, monologue spilling like sewage, forgeries, debts to mobbed-up lenders from his broker days. Ethan's coerced complicity to save the family. I thought. We'd fix it. Together. Together, I echoed, clicking stop. Like you fixed our vows? Security escorted him out. Gala resuming its hum. I exhaled. Briefcase heavier with vindication. Vanessa clapped my back. Round 2 to you. Summer simmered tensions to a boil. Mark's plea stuck. 15 years. No parole, closing the chapter with a gavel's thud. Ethan visited him once. Emerged quieter, but unburdened. He said sorry. For real. We didn't pry. Some doors stay ajar. Riley and I deepened. Road trip to the Smokies. Tent pitched under stars. Their head on my chest as whippoorwills called. Marry me, they murmured one dawn. Ring simple, recycled gold. Engraved with code, if love forever. I said yes. Tears salting the dew. Not for fairy tales, but fortresses. Fall brought harvest. Hargrove hit 8 figures. Team ballooning to 20. Ethan interned paid. Probationary, proving chops in ops. His ideas sharp as unblunted knives. Proud of you, I whispered after his first solo pitch. He grinned. Mark's eyes in my son's face. Redeemed. The gray decision lingered. Go public with us? Riley's family, progressive profs in Portland, cheered. Mine, distant Ohio kin, sent frosty cards. Modern families, one aunt sniped. I burned them. Ashes to wind. Controversy was currency. We'd spend it on change. Winter wrapped us in wool and wonder. Christmas at Lena's brownstone, trees strung with LED sustainability orbs. Table groaning under brisket and lax. Ethan proposed a toast to benches with legs, who carry the weight and still stand. Laughter erupted. Mine brightest.
The old jab.
Twisted to triumph. As snow fell soft outside. Riley's hand in mine. Ethan's arm around my shoulders. I glanced at the briefcase on the sideboard. Retired relic. Story sealed. Vengeance had birthed victory. But grace grew the garden. Life's no linear code. It's loops. Debugging the dark. I'd looped back once. Emerged luminous. And in that light, we thrived, unscripted, unbreakable. 2020 roared in like a lioness scorned. Pandemic claws unsheathed by March. Turning Manhattan into a ghost town of masked phantoms and delivery drones. The loft shuddered to remote. Screens glowing like campfires in isolated dens. Hargrove adapted virtual pitches via Zoom. Eco-logos for contactless apps. Revenue dipping then surging on e-com booms. Pivot or perish, I quipped in all hands, channeling the ghost of my old self. Riley and I hunkered in the walk-up. Fort turned bunker. Sourdough starters bubbling on counters. Puzzle pieces scattering floors. Their code kept us connected, collaborative tools that made Team Sync feel almost human. Ethan crashed sporadically. His dorm evacuated, bringing dorm fridge ramen and stories of online classes gone awry. Profs muting us like we're spam, he'd gripe. But his eyes lit when we brainstormed his thesis. Ethical branding in crisis. Weddings waited, but vows didn't. We eloped via FaceTime, Lena officiating from her laptop. Ethan best man in a button-down over sweats. Rings exchanged over takeout tie. Petals digital confetti. I do, Riley said. Camera glitching with emotion. To the glitches and all. The virus unearthed undercurrents. Mark's appeals halted in Supermax. Letters piling unopened. Eleanor's doing. His sister, who'd thawed post-trial. Baking pies as peace offerings. Families fractured. But fixable, she'd say over porch chats. Distanced by 6 feet of hydrangeas. I nodded. Thawing too. Blood's a stubborn bond. Controversy brewed in summer's heat. George Floyd's murder igniting streets I'd once run. Protests marched past my window, chants echoing like heartbeats. Hargrove donated, matching employee gifts to bail funds. Logos for BLM merch pro bono. But backlash bit. A client, conservative clothier, pulled contracts. Emailing, too political. I fired back. Survival's political. We're out. Riley cheered the stand. Ethan wrestled it in essays, interviewing me for case studies in corporate conscience. You risked everything, he noted.
Pen poised.
Worth it. I paused, watching rain streak panes. Everything's a risk. This one's righteous. Fall foliage virtualized, leaves raked by groundskeepers in hazmat gear. We voted curbside. Masks muffling cheers as ballots dropped. Ethan's first time, his hug post-poll lingered. Thanks for fighting so I could. Holiday Zoom fests patched us. Eleanor's turkey carved on screen. Riley's folks toasting from Oregon pines. Laughter lagged,
but warmed.
2021 dawn vaccinated. Variants nipping heels. Offices reopen hybrid. Loft buzzing with masked high fives. A TEDx invite landed. Rebirth through reckoning. My gala ghost spun into inspiration. Stage fright? Nah. Adrenaline's old friend. I packed the blue briefcase, now a talisman, with notes. Not nukes. The talk slayed. Dim stage. Spotlight hot. Voice steady. I died once, not literally, but buried alive by betrayal. Woke to rewrite the script. Slides flipped. Forgeries faded to Phoenix logos. Revenge? Overrated. Reclamation? Revolutionary. Q&A probed grays. Was exposing them cruel? A beat. Justice isn't kind. It's necessary. Offers exploded. Keynotes. Mentorships. I mentored at Rikers. Women's program. Sharing briefcase, tales minus the drama. Build your case. I'd urge. Brick by unyielding brick. Ethan graduated. Virtual pomp. Cap tossed in his bedroom. Job offer from us. Junior creative. Earning stripes. No nepotism, I warned. He saluted. Scout's honor. Riley's app launched. Brandguard. AI sniffing fraud in fine print. Backed by Vanessa. It's scaled fast. We honeymooned late in Iceland.
Post-jab.
Geysers erupting like joy deferred. Hot springs soaked sins away. Their whisper. Forever's just the beta. Back home. The twist's tail wagged. Mark's release. Early for good behavior. 2025. A decade trimmed by model inmate creds. Letter arrived. Pen shaky. Clara, I've changed. See me? Ethan pushed. One visit. For me. Controversy crested. Do I grant grace to the gravedigger? Forums flared. Reddit threads dissecting. Should she forgive the framer? Polarized. Hell no versus. Healing's heroic. I chose gray. Supervised meet at a midtown cafe. Lena flanking. Ruiz in a booth. Mark entered stooped. Graying. Eyes hollowed by time. You look good. Awkward sip of coffee. Time heals, I said. Neutral. He nodded. Unfolding hands, calloused from license plates. I was poison.
To you. To him.
Sorry doesn't cut it.
But.
It's all I got. Ethan shifted.
Torn.
Why? Dad? Really? Mark's gaze dropped.
Fear.
Of failing you both. Twisted it to control. Tears tracked. Unfeigned. I waited. Absolution or armor. No contact, I decided. But Ethan's bridge is his. He left unbroken. A weight not lifted but lightened. Years layered like sedimentary truth. 2025 found me 50. Lines etched but eyes bright. Hargrove Global, satellites in Berlin.
Bogota.
Riley and I adopted a rescue mutt. Luna furry therapist. Tail wagging forgiveness lessons. Ethan married, a quiet ceremony in Prospect Park. His bride a coder with Riley's wit. Vows echoed mine, through glitches and grace. Mark, distant echo. Working odd jobs in Jersey. Letters sporadic, progress reports. Not please. We nodded from afar. The briefcase? Displayed in the loft. Glass-cased. Plaque. From ashes to algorithms. Visitors touched it reverent. I passed without pause. Son laughed once, mocking the bench that bore him.
Now?
He toasts the legs that carried us all, steady, scarred. Striding into sunsets we scripted ourselves. Life's code compiles messy, bugs birthing features, crashes crafting comebacks. I debugged mine to dawn, emerged not just survivor, but sovereign. And in that sovereignty, we soared, unapologetic, unbound.